right? If you're the Japanese brass and the German Navy, you're tied to them big battleships. You got wonderful aircraft carriers. The Japanese, that's how they did Pearl Harbor. So they're not in the Stone Age, but the Yamamoto, and then they had another one they was going to build like it. They was building it. I guess it didn't never come out. Or they had two. One, did they say one had a sister ship? Yeah. Those are that much iron on the water. 72,000 tons. With the armaments, you could shoot it. You couldn't do nothing to it. Right? You just couldn't. Too much protection. But the protection that they was using was for the late 30s or even the 30s. By the time they come up with those aircraft carriers, they're obsolete. Just like that, they're obsolete. In fact, they should have kept them away from battles because of the prestige. When it goes down, when they sunk the thing off Okinawa, it broke the spirit of the Japanese. It's because they had their whole, this thing is too bad to do. But the naval people should have known better. The Japanese Navy was pretty good, but they wasn't thinking on where you're going to put your battleship right in the middle of all that when they're off Okinawa with all that fighting. The flagship? No, you used to have it hid in a cove somewhere and bring it out for a parade, a sea parade, right? And then get it on out of the way, right? Because they got all of them, one torpedo, well, it'd take more, but a couple of torpedoes, they got the planes, to take care of that. The Japanese was a little slow. That's why they lost the Battle of Midway. Not on purpose, but they, instead of loading torpedoes on their plane, they used bombs because they was going to bomb the island of Midway. But they knew where the aircraft carriers was. They should have used torpedoes and sunk all the aircraft carriers. Forget about bombing Midway. It ain't going nowhere, right? But anyway, no problem. We're saying we study in order to see how we fit and where we fit. Because those things recur over and over again in history. Obsolescence happens. And it happens now overnight. So modern warfare should be light, mainly light, almost stuff you can carry to bring down the biggest stuff they got. Why waste all your money on fixed places, right? That's why Iran is hey, they done hooked up missile technology, right? And drone technology. And speedboats on the water, right? They're not big ships. They're not big ships. So they can knock out all that big stuff with little or nothing, right? Those big oil tankers in the 80s, Iran used to go up next to them with rifle grenades, and shoot at the big ships and mess them up. This is with the motorboats. And it was ruining everybody, and now they're a little far ahead of that. Okay, let me get back to the world is in a serious situation right now. And there are a lot of opportunities right now. There's opportunities and there's challenges all at the same time. So we want to mobilize the world on our side. What do you mean? Well, okay. If we have Syria, if we have Iraq, if we have Yemen, those places have been destroyed, right? We have Afghanistan also, we're mixing there. So we want to put it out to the world to help rebuild those places. Now, for instance, we could say to the Chinese to tell the Chinese in Malaysia, they're rich in Malaysia and Indonesia, the people that got all the money out of it, what do they have when they try to make sure you can go to, black people can go to college here? What do they call it when they have that little system like we get a certain percentage. No, about, for instance, about colleges and what have you. They want to make sure that we get our part here in America. Colleges or anything else that I got it on the tip of my tongue. Okay, yeah, it's right on it's something that anyway. Affirmative action, yeah, affirmative action. They have affirmative action in Malaysia for Malays. Who controls the economy of Malaysia? Mostly Chinese. Here's what we're saying. The Chinamans tell the Chinese, okay, there's Chinese up and down here that own like mainland, the Chinese thing right there. I used to buy all my stuff, film movies from, so I'd just hang around. And the Chinese right up there. So they say, okay, you know about, what's the name in Malaysia? Anwar Ibrahim. Anwar Ibrahim. The people right up there, the Chinese, they was from Malaysia and they came here from Malaysia. So they say, so they basically, the lady was saying, you're down with Anwar. She was talking like discipline, like she understood the Islamic movement. So Anwar Ibrahim is making a move, huh? I said, yes, he is. And just like they know, here's what we're saying. For sadaqah, for zakat, the Chinese in Malaysia and Indonesia, they run the economy. Like Zionists run this economy. They run it. Yeah, because remember, they just migrate from everywhere. They got a zillion people. So they have to hide their wealth. They got a thing like they won't buy no real big pretty cars. They got the money. They keep their money not hid. Here's we're gonna give them a chance. Here's what you do. Y'all know about sadaqah and zakat. You give through whatever means, the Chinese in China tell their Chinese there, you give Yemen so many zillion dollars. Call it sadaqah, whatever you want to call it. They don't even do no sadaqah, but they tell them do it anyway. Okay. And then China sends as many of its people in Africa as it can back. Because everybody got to pay attention to what they're doing. The Chinese themselves, after the Opium War, 1839 and all that, they had a century of humiliation. And the news will always tell you that, or the Chinaman will tell you that's what they have been bucking all this time. And you would hear it a lot when they just had the 100th year anniversary of the Communist Party. The century of humiliation. The people they just all sat down and said, we'll take this party. Can you imagine? I mean, China been there for 4,000 years. But technically, China never invaded anyone out of all those thousands of years. They never invaded. They might cause a little trouble here to ask you for money, you know what I mean, to support them, or else, that type of thing. But they never invaded. In fact, the Great Wall of China was for what? To keep people over there. You stay over there. We don't want y'all running around here breathing up all our oxygen and messing with Confucius and barbarian, you old backwards folks, you know. Not they was arrogant. But anyway, here's what I'm talking about. This is a psychological battlefield also. And there's a combination. Here's the combination. Number one, the Americans and the West got a plan to destroy China like they brought Japan down like they did. Okay, that don't mean that this time don't look like they're going to win, but no sense taking chances. Right? So you can see what China just did with Australia shows, what America did with Australia and cut the French out. You don't have to worry about them making good decisions. This is not their time. This is not World War II. Remember, in World War II, the British and the Americans, it was their time to come up. And they came up. Now it's their time to go, and they're going. And they're going to make sure that they go. They got that on their calendar. Make sure that we F up as much as we can, as fast as we can. But if we can take anybody else down with us, bring them on, right? That's the point is. This is a global war. See, so that we don't think about just our masjid or that's not the way it is right now. This is a global situation. And guess what? It don't make no difference whether people like it or not, know it or not. We play a big part in this global thing. Our track record is better than anybody's. Iran has done a good job, but their track record, their perception is not as good as ours. So we can say to the Chinese, or they say, don't get involved. Let them have their stuff. And now, seal up your relationships with everybody. Send the Chinamans in Africa back home. Say, y'all got to go, man. We own it. You don't own nothing. You go, come on back here. If you don't, we're going to send somebody to get you. You know how we do, you know. Yeah. Because you don't teach the Africans how to do their own railroads and all of that stuff. Forget about what you lose. Because this is not a struggle for, I want my part. No. You're going to bring the whole world with you. Between China and between Russia, right? And building up a few more, they'll have probably trouble with India because India love white party. Like, oh my goodness, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, they got it bad. But that's all right. That's all right. They're not going to be able to cause any trouble because they're too poor right now. 20, 30 years, they come on the screen, But right now, they can help, but they can't hurt a lot. And you don't have to worry too much about like India, because America is on a roll chopping everybody's throat without even thinking. France is a better ally than Australia is. World War II, they was there together. France, they was in France, not in Australia. But because Australia is over there next in that region, right? All of a sudden, they get up yesterday and say, here's what we're going to do. They ain't thought about nothing. Beautiful. Can you see how crazy they are?